Newcastle United have received two £11 million bids for players. They've accepted one and rejected the other. And this is my message to Newcastle this January window, to not make the same mistake we made last January. Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Hope you guys are all enjoying your Thursday. I'm pretty sure you will be after Newcastle got their 9th win in a row last night. The stats are just flying right now. 9 wins in a row. Isak scored 8 goals in 8 consecutive games, 11 goals in 8 games. I think Bruno reached 9 assists for the season. We're into 4th. It's looking pretty good. And the sun is shining and it's not as cold today. So everything's well in the world of Newcastle. Let me know down in the comments who was your man of the match last night. I bet a lot of people will say Isak, but you cannot say that the likes of Tonali, Hall, even Jacob Murphy for me, first half in particular, was awesome. Didn't get a goal, didn't get an assist the first time in a while. He hasn't got one of the two, but just, you could list the whole squad. Martin Dubravka. He just turned 36 years old, was ready to be, like shown the door. This window has now got, I think, 5 clean sheets in his last 6 games, and has been part of every game we've won in the last 9. Even when the ball's going in the back of the net, he's got to, getting his cursors out and stopping the ref from counting it. VAR, that stuff. Got a force field around the goal at the minute. Big up to Dubravka. And you know what? Let's try and make it 10-10 this Saturday as we take on Bournemouth. And I will be there. All the usual stuff, vlogs, reactions and everything else. So if you're not subscribed, be sure to go ahead and click that big red button if you want to see all of the reaction to what is hopefully going to be, another win this Saturday. But during the game, in fact, I was, getting the notifications on my phone, normally for the scores coming through, how the teams are. It was all Newcastle links to selling players. It was all kicking off last night. And as I say, reports on Newcastle have had 2 bids for 2 different players. Reports on we've accepted one and rejected the other. We'll talk about the first one. Miguel Almiron, reports on Newcastle have accepted an £11 million bid from Atalanta. Miggy's been linked to leaving all January window. In fairness, he was linked to leaving all summer, all last January and all the summer before that. And I think it probably is about time for him to go now. With Murphy playing so well, you would argue that Barnes is ahead of him in the pecking order. And it's all about this sell-to-buy stuff, which is extremely infuriating when you've got the likes of Man City looking like they're going to go and spend, 80, 90 million. It would seem that, Newcastle are just trying to bring in that little bit of extra cash flow. And I don't know that we'll go and spend it this January. But I think come the summer, because the way the PSR works, like a rolling 3-year thing, or a rolling 3 years ago we spent 70 million, that's about to drop off. And when that drops off, it means we've basically got all that money back, plus whatever money we can make this January to go out and spend it. Do you think Newcastle should go and buy a right winger this January? You let me know in the comments. The argument would be if Miggy leaves and Barnes is injured, are we just assuming that Murphy will continue this vein of form all season? I mean, that's a big ask for someone who's been extremely inconsistent up until this point throughout his entire time at Newcastle. Don't knock it. Keep it going, Murphy, please, all season. Should we be really looking to go and, use some of that money to spend? Or is Newcastle just taking their chance with getting the money now while they've got the opportunity? And that leads on to Lloyd Kelly as well. Obviously, his is a slightly different situation. He is younger than Almiron. I think he's got more of a future ahead of him at Newcastle, but there's no denying he's behind Botman, he's behind Byrne, he's behind Shaw, and Newcastle are still looking at bringing another centre-back as well. I think the Kelly one, I think his original offer was meant to be about 6 million. I think I think Newcastle are right to accept the Miggy one. Newcastle rejected 6 million for Kelly. Reports are it went to 11 and we rejected it again. After the 6 million, I think if you told me that we're going to come back for 10, I think I would have said to take it. And it's a really interesting one. I think this is probably my warning to Newcastle, because we did this last January. We had offers for the likes of Kieran Trippier and Callum Wilson, and understandably Eddie Howe was cautious to letting those players go. Callum Wilson then went and got injured, and Trippier never played again. And we had offers on the table for around 15 million for Trippier. We could have made the Trippier money back, but we didn't take it because we were worried. And we didn't let Wilson go because he would have the only backup to Isak, and then he got injured anyway. And what that did was we meant that we didn't sell players when we should have sold them, and then we're forced to sell Minty, to sell Anderson, and then even at this point are still struggling with PSR. Now, I understand that Newcastle want to be careful, and that's the thing, what I would like, is if we are going to let players go, we'll get them go for the right money, and we spend the money now. If we let Miggy go, I'd like to see us go and spend money this January on a new right winger. But I appreciate where Eddie Howe might be coming from, is that 10 million for Almiron isn't going to afford us, an 80 million, 100 million Mbeumo. This is why teams aren't spending this January. This is why PSR and FFP are ruining the transfer window, or specifically ruining the January transfer window, because teams can't cook the books to get the money together to spend. And Kelly's the one, because I would agree. We got him for nothing, so there's no real rush to sell him. He could be a backup bench player, happy to be on this. That's another argument. Not all players come in and are happy to be squad players. Kelly's been brought in and probably been told, you're behind Sven Botman, but we've got him on a free, and he can sit and play cup games. If we continue in the FA Cup, if we can get European football for next season, his job workload will get bigger. Eddie Howe won't be able to play the same 11 players across Europe, League, and 2 cup games next season. Should we get all of that? Kelly's workload will increase, and we paid nothing for him. Fair enough, we want to let him go for 10 million, but we'll have to replace him. We have to do something. Shaw's getting older, Burns getting older. But the worry is that if we don't take the chance, if we don't sell Kelly now, further down the line, if we have more PSR issues, basically selling Almiron and Kelly will hopefully stop us from having to sell a Bruno further down the line, or somebody else down the line. And that's the tricky one for Newcastle. I think for me, if Fenerbahce really are interested and do come back with about 15 million, I think I would take the risk. I think it's the risk-reward situation, and it's impossible to always get it right. We could sell both of them, have an injury crisis, and wish we hadn't sold them. We can do what we did last January, keep both Trippier and Wilson, and then never play them again. And I would argue that the likelihood is that Kelly and Almiron, if they were to stay, wouldn't get any game time this season. So let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know your thoughts on Miggy leaving. Let me know your thoughts on the idea of potentially letting the likes of a Kelly go if the money's going to be there to spend it somewhere else on the pitch, to spend it on a right winger, to spend it on, the other side of centre-back, to spend it on maybe even a striker coming in, or at the very least, just taking our chances now with the ability to sell players so that we have more flexibility into the summer window. It's all getting very, financy, isn't it? Really what I want is Sky Sports to just announce that we're going to buy a new player. Instead, we've got the spreadsheets out, and we're working what's right and what's wrong. But I think we learned our lesson last summer by not letting players go who were on the fringes. Darren Neals has spoken about this again, player trading. If we've had we sold Trippier and Wilson, and then are we able to sell Miggy and Kelly, and then we can bring somebody else in and we can do something else? Why don't we sell someone and then look at the loan market? There is loads of options there, and Eddie Howe has spoke about this domino effect thing as well, letting somebody go before we can action. And I think right now, the ball's in our court a little bit. We've got offers. I think it's looking ever more likely that was Miggy's goodbye, and I think that's the right move. I would be, understanding that trying to ship Kelly off after only having him for 3 months doesn't sound great, doesn't look great. But when you've paid nothing, he's getting paid reportedly quite high wages, and we're getting offers, well, I was going to say 10 times what we paid when paid nothing. A big PSR dream there if Kelly were to leave. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, guys, on that one. As I say, plenty of videos coming out right now. I imagine both of these storylines will continue to learn more on as we head into the weekend. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as I mentioned, I'm posting a fair bit more on Instagram, TikTok, trying to, what's the word? Diversify in 2025. So if you don't follow us on there as well, be sure to go and check it out. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your night, and I'll catch you later.